All right, I want to give you a brief overview of my books today. Most of them are on my YouTube channel. You can listen to them for free with ads. And as I like to remind people, they are also available in the library on audiobook format. If you don't already have them on ebook format, you can request them. Same thing with paperback. You can request it at your local library if you prefer. But here are my books. So we're going to start with my memoir. This is available on audio, but I don't own the rights, so you can get it in other spaces like the library, but not on my YouTube channel. Of course, everything is available on library apps and things like that. This is the first contemporary I wrote. It's called A Noble Affair. I don't have this in audio. This is followed up by my other contemporary, A Sweetheart in Paris. I do not have these on audio. This is kind of like, you know, like the kid that only a mother could love. That's kind of how I feel about my contemporaries. They were kind of my exploration. Now, the first historical series I wrote is called The Memorable Proposals. This series is about Stratford and his twin sisters, Anna and Phoebe. Stratford is kind of the bumbling hero that doesn't quite get it right. The first book, A Regrettable Proposal, is lots of fun. About a guy who proposes drunk because he wants the girl's inheritance. So that didn't go over very well. The second one is called A Faithful Proposal. Anna is very sharp, loves London society, can hold her own, and she falls in love with a country vicar. That, meanwhile, is definitely opposites attract. It was not easy to convince her that this was the guy for her. And then the final is Phoebe, who's kind of like sweet, slightly shy, in love with her best friend's brother. And this is called A Daring Proposal, and basically the guy she likes just basically tells her to go out and live her life daringly. When her best friend invites her to visit the city of Brussels, she accepts. And it happens to be just as Napoleon is sweeping up France and about to, conquer Europe, conquer the Netherlands, because at that time Belgium didn't exist as a country. Conquer the Netherlands, and it will culminate in the Battle of Waterloo. Frederick comes back, gets a letter that she has gone to Brussels, and he knows that it was his idea. He's not worried about his sister, but he basically encouraged Phoebe to go, and he's best friends with Phoebe's brother, so he's like, oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me. This is a kind of a war-heavy book, lots of research, but a really great love story. So this is my first historical series, Memorable Proposals. My second Regency series. This series, it's called the Clavering Chronicles. This series is about Sir Lucius, and he's got a sister and a brother, younger sister and brother. I mean, he has other siblings, but basically Philippa is his youngest sister, and then he has a younger brother, just, who's older than Philippa, called George. And, Lucius is just like, all the burdens fall on him. His older sister, pushes him to get involved politically, to get married. His mom wants him to take him places and everything like that. So he is dead set against marriage. I felt like this book was the one where people started to know about me and know about my books. It started with A Fall from Grace. So what happens is, next door to his hunting box, there is a young woman whose family has had a humiliating loss of everything. He doesn't want to get married, but he can't help but notice that she's not being treated great. Can't help but get interested in her situation, and so you can guess the ending. This one, Philippa won an award. I'm super proud of this book. Probably has the most fun banter back and forth. It's about Philippa, and she's very managing, a little bit like Emma from Jane Austen, and her best friend's brother is like, he is focused on politics and he knows what he wants in a woman. Basically, she's going to be there to give him heirs, especially sons, and then he's going to spend all his time at the club, and she's going to have like nothing of interest to say. This was a super fun book, and it got really good feedback. And then the third in the series is called The Sport of Matchmaking. This book is about George, who finds that he's such a playboy. I mean, I write chaste books, so playboy, in the time, it's kind of like interested in having fun and nothing else. And this is the daughter to a duke who is never going to get married. And they meet right at the beginning of the book in Almack's, and like through an odd, they're not even presented to each other, it's just an odd circumstance. They end up making a wager about someone, and then he adds a little extra wager about her. And when he starts to fall for her, it comes back to haunt him. So these are the Clavering Chronicles. All of these are on my YouTube channel, so go ahead and listen to them. So now I'm going to tell you about my Daughters of the Gentry. So Daughters of the Gentry was an idea that I had. I read a book, A Gentleman's Daughter, I think that's what it was, and it just talked about what life was like for people that were not necessarily peers. They were gentlemen and gentlemen's daughters, but they didn't necessarily live in London, and they were not of the peerage, and what their life was like. And I decided that I wanted to go to Lincolnshire and see what it was about. This is also what I call my illustrated series, because all of the covers are beautifully illustrated by Sally Dunn. The first book is about Honoria, who is neighbors to both Philip, which is who she marries, and also Christine and Gus. The second book is about Arabella, who moves into the neighborhood and sort of gets to know them, but she's not like, she didn't grow up with them. And then the third book is about Christine. And whereas the Clavering Chronicles, everything is very related. Even though A Fall from Grace is a little bit more Cinderella and it's not set in London, you really get the feeling of Lincolnshire. You really get the feeling of what it's like to live in a small town or a small village. In A Whimsical Notion, it is a childhood friends to love book. And she has a crush on someone else, and kind of almost young adult because she really doesn't know herself. And it's also a very sort of gentle river type of book. The kind of thing you read when you want just to escape into a different world where you're not afraid that anything's going to happen. And then this book is like a raging torrent. And I do have a trigger warning on my book. Her dead husband's brother, who has guardianship of her son, this narcissistic guy, and he is terrifying. The book starts with her hiding in the attic with her son. It's not a thriller. There's a lot of parts of the book where he's not even there. Obviously, the hero is amazing, and it's so great to see her overcome with the help of her friends and get out of the situation. Honestly, sometimes the books just write themselves, and even if I want to make them all the same, they just don't come out that way. The last one is A Presumptuous Hope. It's not a gentle river, it's not a raging storm, a canoe adventure with some light rapids. A forced proximity trope. It's somebody that she has some encounters with and it does not go well, being forced into a betrothal. And so that is my Daughters of the Gentry series, all of which are available on my YouTube channel, so feel free to have a listen. Finally, I want to talk about my standalone books. The first one, His Disinclined Bride. This was the first one. It was one of my early books. It's about marriage of convenience. People like the concept of being forced to be betrothed to someone that or married to someone that you didn't choose. This is just the story of how they fall in love. The second one that I did is a Yorkshire Carol, and this one is set in Yorkshire. I got to do a lot of fun Regency Christmas traditions in this one. That was a lot of fun. The trope is childhood friends to love. Also, he loves her and she didn't love him back. And there's another video I want to do about heroines that no one likes and why. I want to discuss that. So, An Amiable Foe. This one is available only in Kindle Unlimited. but it is available on my YouTube channel. This is it's not quite an enemies to love. She's an orphan and has to put up with the hero who inherited the castle. The castle has as much personality as the hero and the heroine. Like, there's a lot about the castle in there. A sham betrothal. When we did this, and I did this with some very talented authors, we wanted to have kind of a macaron look. So we wanted that look, and this is a Georgian era set in Paris, very flirtatious, very fun. It's short. So I would love for this book to get a little more love than it does. I think people are surprised by the illustration, the colors, the fact that it's Georgian. They don't quite know what to do with it, so it doesn't always get the love that I would hope, but this was a super fun book. And if you're not really familiar with Georgian and Regency, the Regency period is nestled within the Georgian period, and Regency officially is only 1812 to 1820, and then Georgian extends much further back. But, you know, Marie Antoinette, the powdered wigs, the large skirts, the lacy cravats, and things like that. And so that's a Georgian era book. And then my last standalone book is A Gentleman's Reckoning. This one just came out, and it's part of the Bachelors of Blackstone's book. Trope is hidden identity. Yeah, he was a rake, got kind of scoured, and so he wants to seek revenge. Problem is that he falls in love with the guy's daughter. So that makes it really complicated. I want to talk about my new series. It's called The Earl's Sisters. The first one is A Brilliant Match, about Dorothea. She's the eldest of 6 children, and 5 of them are girls, and then there's the Earl. Contrary to what one might think, because it's called The Earl's Sisters, the Earl is not this like bachelor ready to go. He is a preteen teen, and very mischievous. He's a rapscallion. The book 2 is called The Secret Infatuation. I am not sure if I'm going to meet my deadline, to be honest. And I also am going back and forth with edits with Haven for my book, which is called A Love Once Lost, that's coming out in a year from now in June. So now you have an overview of all my books.